Hey everyone, welcome to our modified block schedule that we will be using this fall. The classes are not in a rote, tedious order, and there are many reasons for that, and you will also notice letter days. This schedule is truly flexible. It adds more time for our school goals in 2 different community times. We'll hear more about that later. There's an advisory, business lunch. You can think clubs and a lot of other things could go in business lunch. And later you will learn some more of the magic that the schedule can do for your teaching and for most of all, your students. A couple of details. The blocks. You'll notice that there are still 7 classes, 7 configurations on the schedule, and we've decided to call them by numbered blocks. Each configuration has 2 doubles and a single over 5 days. Look, for instance, on cycle day A, you have block 1 meets for a double length, we'll call it a double block, and on B day it meets for a single, and then on D day it meets for a double in the middle of the day, middle of D day. So I'm just going to ask you to pause the recording for a second and kind of look at the pattern of the blocks. As I said before, I know it looks a little odd, but there are definitely reasons for this variety. Next is, you'll notice at the top, the letter days. Do not think weekdays anymore. I know that this will be adjustment for a few of you. There's always give and take in a schedule, but we'll make this work as best we can for those of you who, for some reason or another, really do have to think in terms of letter days. We are doing a cycle, a 5-day cycle, where after E day, A day is always next. But because of the way holidays and professional development work, we're not going to try to revamp the entire schedule to crunch it into 4 days or 3 days in a week. Simply, if after a B day is a holiday, then the next day is C day. Then the next day is D day, etc. I'll show you more about that in just a few seconds. So there are a number of features on here. I'm sure you have questions. Please make sure you get a chance to ask your questions on the Google form that you're given. I left a lot on the table. We'll talk more about this later, and I'd love to answer your questions. A couple other things I want to point out about this schedule. First of all, we start every day at the same time, and we end every day at the same time. You might ask about meetings. There's a really good workaround for this. I'll explain that later. So we'll have office hours at the end of the day. Again, we'll explain that later. The last feature is these classes are 35 minutes in length. I know that's short, but actually the blocks are going to be 70 minutes in length. So I know it's short, but we learned from the spring that we cannot have such long extended periods of time, especially if we're going to do some of the changes, make some of the changes we are to the way we run class, the way we run Zoom and live classes. So you'll hear more about that. The last thing I want to show you is the schedule calendar. When I say at home, that just simply means this is certainly going to be in play while we're at home. So this schedule, there might be a couple more changes in it, but this is pretty close to what we're going to be doing. What I've done is I put on for every day that we have for the first semester, I put what letter day is going to occur. You'll notice here that, again, we're not thinking letter days here, but I want it to be at least predictable so you would know what happens every Friday. So that you would know that when we have a week that there is 4 days or maybe 3 days, instead of making a different schedule, trying to finesse different classes, we're just going to go to the next letter day. So no more change in odd schedules. There might be some time for spiritual emphasis that we might shorten some things, but we will know that ahead of time, and you already know what's going to happen on that day because we have the schedule calendar here for you. X means we don't have school that day. There's some details about October 12th we still need to work out. We're not sure about PSAT, 8th grade visitation day. Notice what we've done on November 23rd and 24th. And the last three asterisks of the week before finals, we're going to have a modified review schedule. So you can pause this, take a look at that. If you have any questions, there's a lot more to say about these things, but there's your brief introduction. And like I said, if you have any questions, just let us know and we will continue to talk about this.